Hello and welcome, Reds. Thank you very much for tuning in to yet again another live stream. I'm joined by a very special guest, a friend, a massive supporter of the channel, Diaz O'Connor, of course, from the Liverpool Connections podcast and the ATX Reds Press as well, YouTube channel and all social media platforms as well. Diaz, how you doing, mate? Oh, you're on mute there. Sorry, Dan.
There we go. I'm actually trying to stay cool. It's supposed to be 110 degrees today because if nobody knew, I live in Austin, Texas, in the US. So yeah, I just took my kids to the splash pad, and we could only be out there an hour. I mean, you just get fried. So
did you jump in, mate? Did you have a little go?
Man, if I took my shirt off, women would go screaming, and I don't mean good screaming either.
Used to when you were about 20, mate. As I say, it was all good.
Yeah. When I was younger, I'd strip everything off.
Yeah, he's right there. Obviously, we've got Ricky, obviously Nigel and Kevin coming in a little second. But firstly, obviously, please, everyone watching live or watching on the repeat as well, please do head over, subscribe to Diaz anyway. He's absolutely smashing it at the minute on YouTube. He's got a whole bunch of great LFC content with past presence and of course Liverpool and obviously Liverpool legends as well, and a whole host of book authors as well, Daz. But I just wanted to obviously just introduce this, mate, if you could just discuss really this podcast that you've just recently released over the last 24 hours, mate. Just tell us what it's all about really, and what people can very much get from
it. Well, Jonathan Aspey is actually a school teacher, and he came up with the idea to write about like the 90s Liverpool, the Spice Boys basically, and it's just a really good book. I mean, I'm still not finished with it. I'm halfway through, and it gives a really good insight to Roy Evans, his tenure as manager, and then moving over to Houllier, and even the end of the Souness era. But yeah, it's in depth, really good book. I mean, if you love Liverpool, which I would think everyone who listens to this channel, if you want to pick up a book for we just had Father's Day over there, so that would be good to pick up. But yeah, it's just it's his first book as well. So he's proper proud of it, and he should be, because that it was a really weird era. The 90s wasn't very good for us as a football team. It wasn't very good for wearing white suits at Wembley. Absolutely atrocious. Still don't know who picked that idea.
I don't think anyone on the panel or even anyone in the comments, mate. That pretty much, as you alluded to there, mate, echoed how much turmoil, not just on the pitch, but off the pitch, really. Those small, minute decisions, but obviously the spot on there, mate. So that everyone chat, if you're just tuning in, make sure you check out the Reds in Discovery, Liverpool's identity through the decades with Jonathan Aspey. That can be found on obviously the Liverpool Connection podcast for any audio listeners as well. That is on obviously Liverpool Connections podcast on all socials as well, Spotify, YouTube, and everything. But as I said, massive thank you for coming on, mate. Obviously, you've been on a couple of times, mate, but keep it up, mate. And massive thank you for obviously getting involved this evening. And we've got Ricky. Hello, lad. Were you ready to come in then? There we go. We've got Nigel and we've got Kevin as well. Obviously, I'll speak about what me and Kev have been up to, hence why I've not been on YouTube for a couple of days. We'll fail you in. If you're not too arsed, it doesn't really matter. But for the people that are, we've had quite a couple of Jaeger bombs. Not quite the hangover 3, but close to it, in all honesty. But yeah, big up their chat as well. Big up Ensman TV as well. Big up chat. Obviously, he was in the comments at 2:30, mate. So massive thank you for. I hope you had a good day, mate. Really do appreciate the big up support. Wiggs is in the house. There we go, mate. Happy days. Wiggs, Wiggs, are you a fan of what is it? Chat or lads, I don't doubt you know, but is it Swifties? Like fans of Taylor Swift? I reckon Wiggs, you are the biggest Swiftie in the building anyway. And fair play if you are. But it's mad how she releases albums off just the fellas she's dated, but whatever sells records, each to their own anyway. But big up there, chat. Big up Jack the lads as well. Nice one, matey. And evening, big up the lads. Nigel, big up chat. As I said, and absolutely really appreciate all support. Big up to every single one is as well. Kev, can you feature those comments if I'm like speaking? You should have control. Yeah. So just as we're going through, if you can, mate. But yeah, well, as I said, we've got a massive jam-packed show, chat. Should be going for about 45 to an hour anyway. Won't run over. But all the lads' socials are in the description, so please do head over and subscribe. We're going to be talking about Lucho, obviously on international duty, scoring for Colombia in a 2-0 win. Just speak about that as well. Trent's midfield role for England. How impressed has anyone been in terms of comments or the lads on the panel? Looks like he's getting free reign and fair bloody play. In all honesty, I think it's a position, as we've seen over the last 11 games at the back end of this last season, he thrived upon, and probably a position that we will very much see him very much fully incorporate into his game. Will he be an out-and-out midfielder, or will he be an inverted fall back into midfield, as we've seen with the likes of obviously Zinchenko at Arsenal and Johnny Stones at Manchester City as well. So yeah, we're going to be speaking about that. Obviously, more or less look at identifying the business from in and around us. Firstly, we'll look at Arsenal, look at Chelsea as well. We'll speak about how much of it's not legal what they're doing, and we'll get to that. I've got a good article from Henry Winter that we will bring up tonight, and we'll discuss that. Very in-depth, really, in terms of the link to his article is in the description, so check that out. It was really very insightful journalism at its finest, so I thought I'd bring that to you and discuss, obviously, a couple of incomings, outcomings for Liverpool as well. And the final one, this rumour has been going for about 5-6 years into being on YouTube. Could Klopp be going to Germany? No. But the nonsense rumour, could there be a world where he does one day move to the German national side? We'll discuss that at the end of the show. But firstly, Kev, we'll speak about our hangover part 2. There we go. I was made up to see, obviously, Kevin and the lads this weekend anyway. Showed him and Connor round the town, they say. Kev, how much of a good guest was I, or like a good host?
You're grand, Jack. I know you were able to keep up for me, and you said that was all right. You know, it's not too bad, you know. No, it was good, man. We got tour of this pub to that pub,
Matthew
and then on to another pub, and then there was a pub after that. I couldn't tell you what street we were on, like, but it was there. I mean, I know how many times I've been to Liverpool. I know them all, but by the time the amount that we were drinking and listening to music anyway, there wasn't much navigation being done. It was just, oh, that smells like a nice place. Let's go in here, you know. So I know it was a great weekend, man. It was good to see you and Connor.
Are you touching a Jaeger bomb again?
I say no, but I probably will eventually down the lane.
Lads, can you handle Jaeger bombs, or is that a no from you? No.
Well, you see, the only reason that the Jaeger bombs started is because this girl was going around with a tray of Jaeger bombs on her shoulder. I was like, oh yes, free shots. And like she was just walking under there saying, oh, she's giving everybody samples. So it just came off to the thing and he goes, yeah, shots here for the lads, got that. And then she told me, says, and I'll be like £30, please, love. And I was like, oh, Jesus.
Of course, Kev, they're going to be charging.
I get that, but I just thought it was a way of coaxing us in.
I don't think anyone starts with the Jaeger bomb, do they? Oh, no. They don't go, I'm going to go out and my first drinks with the Jaeger bomb. It's usually the middle drink and then, towards the end. So I say no way to Jaegers, but, that's the beginning of the night. At the end of the night, you'll be doing... Usually
I don't touch it. I'm more of a whiskey man at the end of the night, if I was kind of that way. But no, I haven't touched Jaeger bombs in about, I'd say, before the pandemic. So it was nice to get a taste off him for a change. But yeah, it was with a good bunch of lads and we were enjoying ourselves. The pool was flowing. The shots were on point and then they weren't on point after a while. So it was all good anyway.
Chat.
I'm teetotal, so I don't drink at all.
Oh, don't you? Oh,
Never
you're sensible, mate.
Yeah,
You're
never
have. There you go as well, mate.
You know what you're missing, bud. You know what you're missing.
I do. Believe me, I do.
Chat, is it a Jaeger bomb, yay or nay in the comment section below? Let us know. Yeah, never again. Well, everyone says never again anyway, but Mickey, yes or no? And then we'll quickly.
Yeah, I'll drink anything no matter.
Of course you do, son. Of course you do. You love it. There we go, lad. But lads, we'll quickly move on, obviously, to the first bit of news anyway that's come out this weekend, and that comes from obviously the international lads, the lads on international duty. Obviously, Daz, first we'll start with that little bit of news from Lucho Diaz scoring in the 2-0 win. It's hopefully comes into a bit more form going into this season, mate, because obviously last season was very much decimated through injury. How important do you anticipate Lucho Diaz being for Liverpool next season, mate? I'm hoping that he does have that impact in which we did see off the back end since we brought him in January the year before. Anyway, I'm just hoping he can bang in a couple more goals anyway, because if we can get him scoring goals and providing goals, I think it'll be a massive asset going forward for Liverpool, mate. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think he's a massive player, and I was a bit annoyed by some people towards the end of last season. They're banging on like, he's rusty and all that. Well, yeah, I mean, he was out, since October. So it's kind of a freak one for him because it was, the knee. And then we thought he'd be back after the World Cup and then went to that training and messed it up again. But he's a massive player. I've got one of the lads on my podcast that just reckons he's just one-dimensional, and I don't think he is. I just think, he came in, 2 seasons ago in January, hit the ground running, and then never stopped until he had the injury, basically. But yeah, he's no Mane. They're different, two types of different players. But you saw the goal he scored, the header. That was cracking. What I want to know is, who's the lad that passed him that? That was spot on. I'm like, maybe we should look into him as well. But no, I love Diaz. I do. Yeah. Does he cut inside a bit too much? I mean, well, he's a winger. What do you expect? But I expect him to hit 15 goals next season. But it all depends how the summer pans out with quality midfielders. If he gets that quality, Robbo gets back to being his best and supplying him the passes, then the world's his oyster, I think.
Yeah, definitely, mate. What's this? Spot on there, Daz. Someone should invent a cocktail for Ricky and call it the John Henry. Ricky, on that point as well, anyway, obviously, he's no regulars of the channel. Ricky's a massive FSG house. I've had my say, and as Daz alluded to, we do need massive reinforcements, but this isn't about FSG chat. We've go on my channel, my feelings. You know that. Oh, bloody hell, Doug. Sorry there, lad. You're hiding. All right, lad. How are we? Oh, you're on mute there, lad.
Oh, no, the bear. Yeah, I'm good. I've literally just got home from work, so I was literally just seeing that you guys were live, so I thought we'd just obviously pop in late as usual. But no, thank you very much for having me.
All good, lad. All good. Hope you enjoyed. It was the Scotland versus Georgia game. You went to that game, didn't you? Was that a yes or a no? It sounded like it was going to be a no.
Well, let's just say that I got in at 2 a.m. this morning.
Any Jaeger bombs?
No. No. Yeah, farce, mate. Absolute farce. Should never have gone ahead. Especially with a big downpour before sort of 7 p.m. Made the pitch waterlogged, and you play in like 6 minutes, and you could already see that there was loads of water on the pitch. But big up to obviously the ground staff managing to get the game back on. But I don't think that's ever going to happen again. I don't think I'm ever going to go to a football game where it's like literally pitches are waterlogged from 6 minutes onwards, and then players coming back on, referees coming. I think there were about 3 or 4 pitch inspections before the game came back on. So
Scottish weather, lads, it should be anticipated.
Yes,
it's Scottish weather, and happy days, mate. Made up. Well, at least you got to see a game of footy anyway. And Hampden Park, anyway, it was played at Hampden, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It needs a stadium of that magnitude. Really needs better draining system as well. But that's the thing with modern stadia as well around Europe as well. The infrastructure, it's not just about the bigger stands. You've got to take into consideration really the amount of fans that you're getting in, and that's what the bigger picture will be at Liverpool Football Club in terms of potentially long term, if the club have got aspirations, which I think they will, to upgrade the COP in probably the next 5-10 years. You've got to be building a train station or at least trams or something to very much get around the logistical issues that would arise in Merseyside if there was an influx of more people into Anfield anyway. But you never know, could just knock down a certain stadium across Stanley Park and build a train station, maybe.
I wonder what that stadium is.
Yeah, but obviously, Ricky, speak about obviously Alisson Becker getting an injury. Not really good to see that, mate, is it?
Shock pre-season. Alisson's always injured at pre-season or just before. Hopefully, it's nothing serious. Apparently, it's not a broken finger, so hopefully, it's not serious. But at least he gets a rest up to pre-season. So the plan. These pointless international games after a long season's just ended, which I think pointless, but is what it is. But hopefully he's fit, ready to go for the start of pre-season. If not, can join in halfway through it. And obviously pre-season they don't really do much ball work, so he won't have shots blasted at him from Darwin Núñez. So it should be all right. Yeah,
well, hopefully it's precaution, as you said, mate. It looks like, obviously, from that Instagram post on his story today, looks like it's just in a sling anyway. It's not like a.
Apparently, just popped out. He dislocated it, but that was about it.
Yeah, he's a big lad. He'll probably play through the pain barriers. We know, unlike certain players that we had over the last couple of years. Obviously, Kev, we'll speak about obviously Trent in midfield, and obviously I think for England, surprise, not for Liverpool fans, but everyone on social media that is supporting England, waxing lyrical, and quite rightly so. Obviously a lot of England fans don't watch Liverpool games, but it's second nature in reality in terms of Trent Alexander-Arnold going to this summer. Do you anticipate that to be not just an England new role for them, but very much a Liverpool role going into next season, more or less an out and out, given the number 10 role as well from Gareth Southgate? I think that is a massive indication to the position and obviously the future role that he will play, not just for England, but for the England, mate.
Yeah, look, I've been, me, Jack, I've been waxing lyrical about Trent moving to midfield for about 3 or 4 years now. Even when he came in first, I said, this dude's got one hell of a right foot. I said, I've been watching him in the youths. I don't know about putting him in right back. He turned out to be a pretty okay right back for what suited Klopp's type of football, but like he wasn't a world-beating right back, So he was just really good at going forward, and that's what the same with Andy Robertson on that side, but he had a bit more oomph to his game when it came to tackling. But I've been saying it for years now, move him into the midfield, just give him the number 8 shirt or something, and just say he's a midfielder from now on in, concentrate on getting a right back in, and then have Ramsey come in and cover that person or one of the other young lads when the position once the position's filled and we've got somebody in there to do the job, or as Klopp looks like he's doing recently, switch to that 3 at the back and stick him in the midfield right, and if he does have to cover, he does have to cover, but stick somebody in there that can play right back and right centre back at the same time. Your Gavardials, your
sorry to disappoint, mate.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying of that ilk. I know. But of that ilk, if you know what I mean. So stick somebody in there that's going to actually play both positions. And Trent has got the experience now from playing right back that he can cover right back really well, and he doesn't need to do anything else except for concentrating. Getting back and just covering the player, and then concentrating on where he can play that ball the minute he receives it, and that's all he should be worried about. No more should we be wasting him on the right back position and getting him up a wing where he might or might not receive the ball in the way this team has been playing the last couple of seasons. Before, you were guaranteed that Trent and Robbo were going to receive that ball, and that ball was going into the box. But it's been a couple of seasons now since they were getting up that wing. I think really since that season where we had to move Fabinho and Henderson into the defence, and then we lost them both, and then we had no midfielders, and then we had kids playing in defence, but we still came third. I think in that season it really hindered, and it showed other teams how to stop Trent and Robbo, because they didn't have the cover of Henderson or Fabinho on the sides. They didn't have the cover in the midfield. They didn't have Mane tracking back. Even though he didn't do too much defending, he was sitting there in that position, waiting for the ball, and he was more of a threat to midfielders and defenders on receiving the ball in case they lost possession rather than actually defending. So. For me, look, give him the midfield role, take the pressure off that right back position, and stick somebody in there that can do the job.
I'll go round the panel quickly. Trent number 8 shirt next season, Kev?
Yeah, I take it all day. I give it him.
Yes or no? Do you reckon he'll take it? But he's been on record, Danny Boys, as well as chat, that he wanted to make that shirt number his own anyway. But do you anticipate Daz for him to keep hold of that, mate? Or
it's just a number.
Yeah.
Maybe he wants to make 66 the number that gets retired. But I mean, it's just a number for me. Yeah. But I understand the number 8 number, is a famous number. So yeah, it don't really bother me either way if he comes out with 66 on his back or a number 8, as long as he does the job.
100%, mate. And obviously very synonymous, as Daz has said there, Ricky, with Steven Gerrard be a much better player taking it off him, in all honesty, if he was to get it. Ricky, but quick, yeah or nay? Trent 8, or do you think it does?
I think he'll stay at 66, but like Dad said, it's just a number. Numbers don't really mean nothing. You see the Italian teams with 99, 85s and all that on the back of their shirt, so it don't really matter what it is.
I was completely confused about that because I thought you meant giving the number 8 role. I didn't think you meant the actual jersey.
Oh, no, yeah. No, just saying.
So I was sitting there kind of going, what are you talking about a jersey for? I thought it was the role. That's where I would stick him. Anyway, go on. Sorry, lads.
No, really right. I think he'll stay 66 as well, though, Chas. Doug, same number?
Same number. I don't think he wants to change, and obviously the last person that had number 8 was obviously Naby Keita. So I think he'll stay 66. And as the other lads have said, a number is just a number. You might maybe move numbers soon, but I think there will be a few players that probably change over the summer. But Trent, I don't think he'll be one of them.
Would we say the same with the 7 shirt though, boys? Nigel, I know James Milner's just vacated that.
I'd give that to Diaz.
Yeah. The fact that Kenny's had it, and obviously the historical nature of that number, you don't want to be given a 7 to say someone, i.e. a navigator or someone of that ilk anyway.
Yeah, give it to Diaz.
Yeah, Lucho Diaz. Yeah.
Yeah,
definitely, mate. But that concludes Chas. Big up Chas as well. If you are new around here, make sure you hit that subscribe button, drop a like on the video as well. Especially with the new algorithm system on YouTube over the last couple of months. More likes, better. Even a dislike. If you dislike the content, sounds that's good. Still does the job anyway. Let me know if you're enjoying the content. But we will obviously speak about full backs and all that really in terms of the next couple of weeks anyway. But Nigel, just to conclude really in terms of Liverpool business and transfer window, the lads have already alluded to in terms of obviously moving Trent into midfield. Could the option in the window, especially over the next couple of weeks, do you think that has very much changed the landscape for Liverpool in terms of the transfer market in relation to, i.e., getting a wide fullback or a centre half that can play fullback or an out-and-out right back, i.e., a Dumfries or a Frimpong, a Bayer Leverkusen as well. Players that have very much got the attributes very similar to Trent, probably half as good as Trent, because Trent is the best ball-playing fullback in world football, has been for the last 4 or 5 seasons. Do you anticipate Nigel Liverpool to go out for it, depending if Liverpool long-term are going to be shifting Trent into a midfield role? Do you foresee a will going to next year, a couple of years' time anyway, Liverpool to go out for a right back? Or do you think it will be more a case of an inverted Trent position?
I'm not sure, but just as a matter of interest, the under-21s, the Euro under-21 started tonight. Belgium and Holland is on at the moment. And we've got 2 players who are supposed to be interested in playing in the game, Van de Ven and Gravenberch. And I don't see us making any moves until that's over, or unless at least the teams are out of it. Yeah. So I just think people cracking up about not doing business and stuff like that. These guys are in camp with their international sides now, and I don't think they'll be moved. There'll be any movement while this is on with any of these guys, and we're linked with 3 or 4 of them. So,
definitely.
Just like to say to Daz, Daz, your friend that thinks that Luis Diaz is one-dimensional, could you do me a favor and ask his guide dog what he thinks?
We gonna say it's sorry there, boys. Bloody, do you know when someone like rings you, or my mom's just rang me, so apologies. But yeah, no, Brenda, my mom completely put it off his stride. You know, when you're just looking at the chat and start again. Woo. But yeah, definitely it will be interesting. I think Diaz will do very well. None of us, I know everyone on the panel and everyone in the comments as well, we haven't got issues with Liverpool scoring goals. We've all said this for the last 3-4 years. The issues aren't Liverpool scoring goals. It's all about keeping clean sheets and conceding far too many last season as well. I think, especially if you put Trent into that midfield, or whether he goes into that inverted role a lot more going to next season, yeah, we're going to create a lot. And mentioning what the lads have alluded to already, I think it was Kev spoke about Robbo not going forward. I think once you sort the midfield out, I think you'll see Liverpool's fullbacks flying on and creating what they used to do, and still will continue to do so anyway. And I think there was an interview this week that Sky done in relation to Andy Robbo playing a bit of golf, and he was just talking about Trent's role and just saying that he's not surprised, and pretty, as we know, they both love each other. They wax lyrical on plenty of occasions, but they have been 2 best fullbacks in world football for the last 4 or 5 years. In all honesty, there's no Robbo was it goes to show as well, though, Daz, in relation to when Liverpool, we've been so accustomed to very much seeing a 7 out of 10 performance from the likes of Robbo and Trent, and seeing other players in this Liverpool team made that any slight drop off, then the modern day of social media, everyone bloody jumps on the back. It's crazy. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting, but we'll go into the next, obviously, bit of news as well, Kev. We'll quickly go into, obviously, how we anticipate top teams as well, chat. If you haven't seen it, in terms of Newcastle United, surprise, and just remove that for us, Kev, if you can, please, mate.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Nice one. In relation to, obviously, David Ornstein just announced very much as we knew before we come on live on air tonight, Newcastle close to agreeing a deal for AC Milan for the signing of Italian international Sandro Tonali for a fee in the region of 70 million euro, subject to final negotiations for a 23-year-old midfielder. Newcastle United would be leading Eddie Howe's top midfield targets. And obviously, just a little one as well, if you missed it, confirmation, well, not an official, but might have been already confirmed on Arsenal's website, as we're live tonight. So apologies if it hasn't, but more or less Kai Havertz going to Arsenal, as Fabrizio goes on his Twitter there. Kai Havertz's first Arsenal signing for the deal will be completed in the next few hours. Here we go, 60 million guaranteed fee with 5 million add-on, long-term deal agreed. Medical tests are scheduled, and Kai Havertz will become a Arsenal midfielder in a matter of hours by the sounds of it as well. Kev, in relation to obviously this section chat as well, we'll be discussing in terms of our rivals' business, because and people might like, oh, don't focus too much, but I'm looking at this because you look at your rivals as a barometer really going into this season. Yes, we finished fifth, went on a great run last season, but let's not forget half of the season that did come before the great final end of this season. Not that I'm worried. I couldn't give two hoots about Manchester United, because I think if Poch gets the players that he wants, and they'll spend a lot of money anyway, I think they will finish above Manchester United. But Kev, are you concerned or worried? Because I am. Like, I look at the business that's going on around Liverpool, and as obviously Diaz and Nigel very much did indicate before, in terms of the business post under 21 World Cup. Thoughts on the business going around? We'll speak a bit on Chelsea. We'll come to that as well. But
well, you know, at Arsenal, if the rumours about Partey are heading out the other direction are true, they're going to need a defensive midfielder. So I don't know where they're going for the Kai
40
Havertz
million. They're going to be getting by the looks of it.
Yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, Havertz thing is kind of bemused me a bit. He hasn't. There's a player there, but is he worth 65, 70 million for Arsenal? You know, it looks like they're going to be doing more business so in the defensive midfield area with Partey heading out. With Tonali, I mean, Newcastle's probably one of their biggest flaws was not controlling the full midfield. Without Gumares in there. So unless because Maxim, he's, you know, he can appear anywhere in the middle of that park or on a wing, and he'll just run with the head down. He's another Milan Barros for me. But, you know, he's a handy enough player, but he needs the right kind of coaching. He needs extra coaching to be able to do anything in the midfield that benefits anything except for him from zigzagging, then taking a random shot that hits the corner flag, you know. But Tonali's could be a good bit of business for them, you know, if they can put him in there next to Bruno. It'll strengthen them definitely. Where's this new role for Joe Linton going to play? Is he going to move a bit forward? Is Almiron being moved on? So they didn't really play with that kind of defensive mindset last season. So I don't know what they're going to do with Tonali in there. Maybe they are looking for a bit more solidity. But look, Newcastle have done a fantastic thing. They have to buy Champions League.
John Josh, Lord Voldemort to Tonali is a massive upgrade.
Massive. I just, you know, are they going to now replace Joe Linton, Almiron, or all as well to suit his type of football? This is what I'm talking, you know. Eventually. So they've got the money now. So if it's one team or the two teams that are going to do it, it's probably Newcastle now with the money. Arsenal have they've quite have us losing part there. That's Xhaka, right? His contract is up. They have a lot of building to go on in the midfield, to be honest. I know they've got Jorginho in there and all of that, but I mean, from his second season on with Chelsea, he was the same. Didn't do much. His first season, he was great, but didn't do much after that. So I can expect probably the same.
Yeah, definitely. Doug, as Kev said there, but I think those defensive frailties in their team would very much be alleviated if they did get a player in the region of Declan Rice. They've had the second bid rejected, but I think he's a tremendous player. I'd love him at Liverpool, but we're never going to spend £100 million on a player unless well, yeah, we haven't ever spent £100 million on a player. People might mention obviously Ali and Virgil van Dijk, but that was like 50, 60 odd million at the time, and everyone laughed and gone, too much. But look how those deals panned out. Doug, in relation to, do you want to speak about Chelsea, a bit about Arsenal, Newcastle? Go for it, mate.
I think Arsenal signing Havertz. I think if you're a Chelsea supporter right now, I would take the money and run. How they've managed to get 70 million quid for Kai Havertz is absolutely ludicrous. I think Sandro Tonali is a fantastic player. I think as well that, as O'Brien said, never buy Italian, which you can kind of say is right, especially with us at the moment. Chelsea, yes, I want to talk about Chelsea. Isn't it a bit suspicious that the Saudi clubs, and one in particular, Al Hilal, I think that's how you say it, are buying these Chelsea sort of cast-offs? And then it's like, there's obviously you'll obviously talk about this, Jack, as well, but I just think something suspicious is going on. Like, they've got, like, Koulibaly's gone, Mendy's gone, Kante, Ziyech, probably Hudson-Odoi could be another one. And you know what? I think people need to realise that Chelsea are not going to be as good as they have been. And I think they're going to struggle next season because when you
can't get any worse though, Doug, can he? Well, we'll find out in 6 months. Like,
look, Pochettino's a very, very good manager. I can say that. And Nkunku's a very, very good signing. They get Nicholas Jackson from Villarreal. I think that's a really, really good signing. He was very, very good last season. But it's whether or not these kind of signings work. I think they need a goalkeeper because obviously Mendy's now going. Kepa, I don't rate him. I've never ever rated this guy. He is, if you have a long shot against Kepa, he's more than likely to concede. I'm so glad that we paid 68 million on Alisson, whereas Chelsea spent 71.8 million on Kepa Arrizabalaga. Look, I think the way that things are going, I think the Saudi League at this moment in time, yes, they have the money right now, but do you think that they could potentially be going the same way as the Chinese Super League when the money was there?
Yeah,
when the money was there, it was completely it was there, but when it was gone, it was gone. Like everyone wanted out of China. I think the fact that Ruben Neves is probably one of the first sort of players in the prime to potentially go there makes me a wee bit concerned of who they could target next. I mean, it's a big concern.
Yeah, sorry there, La. Like I was going to say, well, Salah will eventually go. I don't think he'll go in the next 2 years, but I think back end of his career. Obviously, I think I've heard a couple of quotes from the head of the Saudi football. I don't know accurately the word, it might have just been typed up. You never know what to believe on Twitter, but if it was to be believed, they want to be looking at Mohamed Salah long term in the league as well. So, well, apologies there, Joe. Bloody my connection. I wasn't saying no to your point. What I was saying really in relation to the Chinese Super League anyway. Well, more you tried the Chinese Super League, but with their league, mate, you just have to look at the funds that the Saudis. You look at what they've done with golf. Look at what they've done in terms of boxing as well. That part of the world as well. They have got not just money. They have got trillions upon billions to spend in the infrastructure of not just anything, but it will be a matter of time that they will be in the Champions League as well. It's a matter of I'd say give it 5 years, but the way they're moving at the minute, if you have a little cheeky word, because as we know, UEFA love money. So football over the 130 years history of the sport, it's always been about money and will continue to be about money.
Always has been. The other question that you asked, am I concerned about the transfer window? What day are we on? 21st of June. So I thought 7 days into the transfer window, and it's still got until the September the 1st. I'm not concerned.
It's not the point.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, Ricky, you was gonna say. I'm only concerned is because if we had Todd Bowley as our sugar daddy as owner, and we had 500-600 million pound in the kitty, and Jurgen Klopp had free reign as certain Chelsea managers have had, mate, would you be concerned? And I would, in relation to in terms of our past exploits in the transfer market.
Well, there is something that.
Sorry.
Yeah, massively. I don't think we bring anyone else in. I don't think the money's there. I think McAllister was it. That's why it got done early doors before the window opens. Unless we get some outgoings and a big offer for certain players, it's massively concerning. When the likes of Chelsea are going to spend 150 million again this summer after their outgoings, Arsenal are splashing cash all over the show. They're going to get Declan Rice in. Havertz is a decent player. He'll replace Xhaka on the left-hand side of that midfield three. Rice will replace Partey, and they've got Odegaard next to that. So that's a top midfield there. Man United will spend, once they get their ownership sorted out, I expect that to be done quite soon. They'll spend money. City will spend money. We know they do. And then, we're left. We're one of the biggest teams in world football. We're supposed to be at the big boy table when it comes to these players. But it looks like John Henry and his bag of crooks are looking around for bargains for players that are potentially good enough in the future, ain't ready now. And we're just watching everyone else. That Tonali deal was a top deal for Newcastle. They're going to get some top players in this summer. And I mean, they're going to build very well. I think they'll do it better than how City did it in terms of building. We're just going to have to watch everyone else, and it's going to be tough.
Yeah, and this is why obviously I've put Taylor Swift in the title, because surprisingly, when you go into Google Ads or Google tagging, it's quite popular on YouTube. Taylor Swift Liverpool FC was one of the high tagging words as well. So, yeah, whatever you Google says, sounds. And that's part of, obviously, as Ricky's alluded to there, does. Nigel, if you can hear me, mate, just move your framing of your camera, please, mate, just so it cuts out the telly, just so obviously for the copyright purposes, so I'll be getting the stream taken down. Or just switch your telly off if you can, please, mate. That'd probably be better. So, mate, there we go. Sorry about that, lad. Obviously, Daz, this table, going to Ricky's point, and it was a massive point that he's just alluded to, really. I was speaking to my uncles, and they live in Anfield and go to the games and everything and all that. And even, it doesn't regardless of whatever camp you are in, out, in the middle, in terms of FSG. But what you can't forget, as Ricky's alluded to, Kev, you were over and you bought 3 kits. Each of those kits was about 100, 150, and that's even without a discount.
Yeah.
The revenue streams coming into the football club are absolutely mental. And as Ricky alluded to, a club of our stature, and the commercial side of Liverpool is absolutely spot on. We're run excellently as a business, but where does it correspond in terms of the ownership, the lack of spending as well, mate, in terms of your end?
Well, I mean, it's frustrating, isn't it? I mean, for all of us, I'm not FSG out or in. You know, I'm on the fence. I'm like Switzerland. They do some good things and then they do some bad things. As like Klopp alluded to, I think FSG need to take more risks in the transfer market. They've got to stop mucking around. But I'm also with Doug. We're only 7 days in. We've already brought in McAllister. I don't think McAllister is the only player that's going to come into Liverpool. I think because, as we've all alluded, the under-21s are playing. Thuram, Gravenberch, Kone are all playing there. You know, it is difficult to get transfers over the line if the lads are still playing football. It's insane they're still playing football, but that's how it works. But we just live in a world where everybody just wants, you know, it over the line as quickly as possible. Yeah. And I understand that. You know, I don't want to get to September 1st and be looking for, you know, who can I grab from the bottom of the barrel? Like we got Arter. That was absolutely useless. We spent all that money on a midfielder that played 13 minutes. That's a joke to me. You know, it wasn't his fault. Everybody's having a go at him. It's not his fault he got injured. It just happened. But, you know, we do live in a time where it's just, come on, get it over the line. I'm more like Arsenal are doing it right. They really are. You know, they didn't win anything, but they got really close. And if they get Rice, which I think they will, I think that's the place Rice wants to go. But West Ham are playing hardball. Why wouldn't they play hardball? They'll probably go for 100 plus, you know, add-ons. They get Havertz, they get Timber. That's improving their squad. Now us, again, McAllister, he'll walk into our team any day of the week. But we need 2 engines in that midfield. Hendo is going to be doing the Milner role. He'll be coming off the bench. He'll still be captain, but he'll come off the bench. Now, Fabinho, most 3/4 of the season looked like he didn't have any legs. Looks like he was wearing skates. But the last 11 games, you saw, you know, the real Fabinho again. Does that mean he's back? I don't know. Only time will tell. But I mean, with Fabinho again, you need 2 engines either side of him. Can't rely on Thiago. On 200k a week, plays maybe 18 to 20 matches a season. That's not good enough for me. It's not. You know, I hate the word luxury player, but that's who we have in Thiago. And that 200k could go. Take that off the wages, could go and get a better player. I just want to see FSG just play with the big boys. We don't have to be sports washing, but we know you've got money, lads. Like let's spend some, you know. Let's not do this bargain basement crap every single season. It's time. Like, I mean, for 35 million and no add-ons for McAllister, we're having a laugh at everyone, you know. I mean, it came out, Neil Jones said there's no add-ons. That's insane for a player like him. But let's get 3-4 more players in. That at least 2 of them can walk in the team, and then 2 of them are better than the players that we have on the bench already.
Yeah, absolutely spot on, mate. I think you've echoed the words that are always, and even chat as well. Would say, Nigel, obviously, before you're off camera, mate, just general thoughts really on where it's pivotal, mate. And as I said, I'm kind of concerned really, because as the lads have already alluded to, could be I don't want another to go 2-3 weeks, 4 weeks into the season, and you're like, oh bloody hell, we've wasted, as Daz have said there, a whole window, or a case in point of what if again, say like a Liverpool finish 2-3 points off. If we had a crystal ball, it'd be better. But I don't want to be a case in point of, oh, what if Liverpool, if we just went that extra mile? If we, I tell you now, lads, I think we can all agree, but if we would have added 2 or 3 potential world-class players in this team, I think we would have come away with a lot more European Cups, a lot more Premier League titles. By yes, City have been fantastic, but let's not forget this Liverpool team is also fantastic as well in that same breath. Anyway, Nigel, where's the penny fall for you in relation to the club in terms of their dealings?
Yeah, they kind of got away with it a little bit last season, I think, because at the start of the season we were coming in as after winning 2 cups, and I played every game we could possibly, and lost out by very little in 2 other competitions. This season, if we don't sign, I'd say there'd be a little bit more unrest from the terraces, so to speak. Because of our kind of possibly perceiving that we might be falling behind if other teams buy. Now, saying that, I wouldn't pay 65 million for Kai Havertz, decent player, but he ain't worth that. But we can't afford not to get at least 2 or 3 more midfielders and strengthen the squad. Because I absolutely agree what the lads are saying, but they got away with it a little bit last season, I think. Now, having Diaz back would make a big difference, I think. I think he'd be helpful, but we need to strengthen.
Yeah, definitely. And I completely forgot, but we could have been going on for another extra hour if we mentioned Virgil van Dijk. I've been saying regulars on my channel, I'm very concerned with Virgil because he's a tremendous centre-half, the best in the world when he's on form. But I think that injury has absolutely decimated his career. You only have to look at very similar in the ilk of Owen before he got all those hamstring injuries, won a Ballon d'Or, and as we know, he was a little rat to go down the road, down the motorway.
Just to refer the other night, I don't know if you watched that Holland-Italy game the other night, and he got a couple of mentions here a few minutes ago that Timber was playing right back. Wouldn't touch him with a barge pole. He's absolutely positional sense of a dustbin. He's absolutely terrible. Yeah. Now, Van Dijk wasn't great for the third goal, but he got left badly exposed. Well, Timber was just nowhere to be found. I can't remember the second goal, but he was gone for the first goal, came down that side. I can't remember the second goal, and then Virgil had to try and cover across for the third goal. He has no positional sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
So, wouldn't have him.
I'll definitely do a show on Virgil this week, Jack, because I think it needs to be discussed very, very much so. Because I think we're sleepwalking into a disaster. If Virgil has another 6 months like he has had, then especially if we do get the midfielders, the lads have already said on tonight's pods and everyone, if we sort the midfield and then we analyse the defence, and then the defence is very much leaking into poor performances week upon week, then it's going to be sad. But that in itself is not going to be a cheap thing to fill. It's not going to be a 15, 20 million type of play. You need the best in quality, very much what we've done a couple of years ago. You go out and buy the best and to very much fill those positions. But quickly there, sorry there, lads, as well in chat. Get all your comments as well. But as alluded to before, I think it was an excellent article. If you go onto Henry Winter's socials on his Twitter, very interesting data that he's undertaken. Give him a follow as well on the socials. One of my favourite journalists, very much read as well for the Independent. But it just goes on to little lad and last lad's closing points really in your thoughts chat. But he goes on his Twitter. There's a 4-stage piece here, but we'll go for the first 2. Independent regulator coming in to protect the game. Whatever the Premier League regards action, the fans don't trust any owners, leagues, authorities. A staggering 88.2% of 10,000 supporters from 200 clubs surveyed by We Are the FSA back introduction of a regulator to ensure clubs run sustainable anyway. And it goes on to add, football has said for years it can regulate itself. Our survey shows it has become apparent to the overwhelming majority of fans that it cannot, and that the independent regulator is required to safeguard the future of our clubs and the game itself. And that was a quote from Malcolm Clark from We Are the FSA. Interesting words there, Kev. We'll go straight to you, mate. That in itself is quite staggering, and the data is there that indicates it's not just Liverpool fans that have got concerns, but 200 other football club fans of 10,000 are very concerned. A staggering 88% there don't have any trust in the legal processes or very much the authorities. What were your thoughts on that little read there, mate?
The news water is wet. You know, so look, the FA ran the show for a long time, and you know, you have a lot of money involved in it now, and the Premier League then, you know, kicked off its tenure and what it was doing, you know, separately from that. You've all of these owners and clubs, and they're not holding accountability. There's a lot of sports washing going on. There's a lot of money laundering going on. There's a lot of fake sponsorship coming in, and whatever being a Liverpool fan and whatever being a top tier club supporter, you have to feel for the other clubs that don't look like they're going to be able to see any slice of the pie in future. And you might as well have had that Super League come about and just kept the top tier teams in there and not let anybody be promoted into it or relegated out of it. Because this is what you're kind of going down the line of anyway in future with the way it's going. With I'd love to see a regulator come in. I've been saying it for years. I've said it myself as well. I still think that, you know, Hawkeye and all of that should be running the or anybody that's similar to that should be running the VAR independently with just the advice of a ref and that kind of thing. I think all of these things should be implemented, and I think there's so much influence in the sport that everybody knows everybody and everybody pats everybody's back at one point. And I think if you can take that out of the game for just a little bit, it can create a lot of chaos and a lot of distance and a lot of protecting your own backs. And I think once people do that, these investors will start protecting themselves a bit more. The clubs will start protecting themselves a bit more, and which means that they step back from doing these type of deals. It become more regular, hopefully. But look, I said it. There's ways of doing. There's bonuses and not bonuses to putting wage caps on and stuff like that. I'd kind of like to be able to see it, but it's not going to make a difference to teams that are down lower league anywhere, lower ilk. But you know, if it could be I'd say if you could see out contracts now without any extensions of contracts without being regulated, then maybe you could do something about it. It's kind of like changing the drinking age or the smoking age, but it can't be implemented for a few years until people hit a certain age or a certain point of the contract. You could do stuff like that and maybe bring it in slowly. But yeah, look, regulators are needed in all top sports. Absolutely. So for me, yeah, it's a good idea for me, but as long as they don't get too involved in the game, and you don't know whether they can be swayed by money as well, you know. So it's just it all comes down to it as well. And in other news as well, there's loads of reports going around that Liverpool are talking about Tchouaméni, and you know me, I'm not into that kind of stuff, but it's starting to pick up everywhere in the last 35 minutes. So anyway, just to throw it out there.
Chat, I'll let you all be the journalists. Please find out and actually check the sources, chat.
Yeah, exactly.
Because bloody hell, as we said at the top of the show, anyone can do anything on social media now these days.
You're talking about, Jack, it's Uncle Bob.
Uncle Bob.
The world. Yeah.
Or me ma, or me nan. That was what me ma was ringing me for. I've just spoken to many down the Asda.
Was he chasing that bird around the place inside it, was he?
He's like, I can't be asked in this Real Madrid team. I don't get any games. So there we go. That's what I was signing. Like,
no, apparently the talk is 55 million Liverpool were talking, but Real Madrid want 80 and they want to meet in the middle or something. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes.
70 million.
For how it doesn't.
Yeah. So there we go, chat. Chat, we'll find out in a couple of seconds anyway what chat says with that. And then we'll quickly go on to add in terms of going on to that as well. Henry Winter does follow up that in relation to VAR as well, which was quite interesting. VAR unpopular. Goes on to say the data, 79.1% of match-going fans surveyed and 65.4% of TV viewers rate that their experience of VAR as poor or very poor. 63.3% against VAR and 91.9% say decisions take too long. Water's wet, as Kev would say. 80% say fans should be able to hear discussions between VAR and the on-pitch ref. And then 100%. The final point, 21.7% of fans surveyed attending 21.7% of fans surveyed attending fewer games because of the rising costs of living. 31.9% reduced match day spending on food, drink, programs. 88.2% in favour of away prices cap in the EFL following record TV deals. Only 33.78% feel optimistic of the future of football. It's Nigel. I'll go to you, mate, and I'll get all the lads' thoughts on this as well. Thing like, and that just that point on obviously the cost of living crisis as well. It's impacted not just everyone in the UK, but everyone around the world as well. And as we know, football plays such an integral role in everyone's, especially in everyone's lives. It's our church. I know it is my church. I go to the game, and like every single Red, if you wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, wherever you are around the globe, or if you go in the game or watching it with your mates or your family, football's so important. And in terms of dealing with certain situations as well, in terms of identifying and very much stamping it out, and football plays such a massive part in terms of being the forefront in terms of tackling situations in society as well, in football in terms. In certain situations, we do see the horrible side of football where it does impact in certain elements in football as well. But Nigel, that the data is there for everyone to see. The regulated bodies, as Kev alluded to, and I'll get the other lads' thoughts as well. It's integral for me that they do get that sorted in football, because what was the beautiful game, they classed it as, it can very much be gone very swiftly, and it's just far, even the cost of prize, I get the cost of living, but football clubs, and mainly Liverpool as well, need to keep up with the times as well, and need to very much understand the situation. Hence why they were rising the cost of tickets at that period in time. Hence why there was such a massive repercussion, not just in the social media, but in terms of the Liverpool fans that go away, abroad and home as well, that it was like, you just don't get us. Like, the owners didn't get us, or the people in charge of these big football clubs don't understand their own company that they own, and the ethos and the fundamental principles of what makes these clubs so great. Nigel, in terms of what you're thinking on, obviously, in terms of that article, mate.
Listen, these boys are coming in and buying clubs, and they have no real kind of knowledge of. They might read up on something, oh, this club did this and this club did that. They have no real inside knowledge of what's going on with which player wore the number 8 shirt back in 1965 when we played in the FA Cup final or stuff like that. It's just like, the fans can say all they want, but like, we're not the ones that are going to have, like, if we had our say, the 6 of us would be after going out and buying about 5 players each for next season. 6 or 7 of us, whatever they are here. We can talk all we want, but we don't have a say. It's the guys with the money at the end of the day are going to do this. As far as the other thing goes, I don't watch anything like the amount of football as I used to. I watch Liverpool, of course, but apart from that, the way football has been run by the authorities, when I watch football, I want to see players making a difference. I want to see Salah making a difference. I want to see, all our players making a difference. Players in a game making a difference, but they're not. Referees are impacting games. VAR is impacting games more so. Decisions off the field are impacting games more so, and it's getting harder and harder and harder to watch for me. Like, I'll watch Liverpool, but very little apart from that. I think it's been taken away from us.
Yeah, and that's one of the fundamental principles, Daz, in it, that as Nigel said there, it's as well. I know lads that have very much stepped away from the game over the last 10, 15 years. People have come away from the game of football because it doesn't very much transmit to it's getting far too expensive. It's a bit disappointing as well, as Nigel's alluded to a massive point there. Then Daz, it's the ethos of some people get Liverpool, hence why they support Liverpool. And Liverpool is as Nigel said, you want to watch players that really give their all. Hence why when Coutinho left, Klopp told him, these fans will remember you for the next 100 years. You'll be etched in Liverpool folklore. Liverpool, I'd hope, we do things differently. And a lot of Manchester United do things differently. And certain clubs around Europe as well. They stand for people. They stand for stuff as well. And stand strong and fast. Is football very much coming away from very much the fundamental principles in which it once stood upon?
100%. I mean, you just see more and more plastic clubs, don't you? Plastic fans. I mean, you'd never see flags and banners being given out at Anfield or at Wembley to Liverpool fans, but City fans, same with Chelsea fans, have been given these flags. I think more and more of these clubs are just losing their soul. And it's to, whether it be Saudi, Qataris, that it's a plaything for them, you know. And I think we have to be really, really careful what you wish for. I mean, I know there's the FSG outers. I wouldn't want a sports washing company or state owning Liverpool Football Club. I'd be done. I seriously would. I would be done with watching Liverpool. It's just not what my granddad stood for. It's not what my dad stood for or I stand for. It is losing its soul. You know, I've had quite a few mates just they're watching lower league stuff now. You know,
even Medellin and Crosby does, in it. Like, that's got quite a lot of things. Like, you've got up to at least 1,500. Me and Kev were doing an interview with Paul, obviously Ronnie Manan's son. He does quite a lot of work there as well. And that's what I love the most about football, as you said, mate. Just the little teams, but even sometimes you do want to go on a magical journey like Luton. Like, they've come up the ranks in like what space of 10 years. They're in the Premier League now.
Well, and people are already like having a go, going, you know, their stadium is what, 20,000, I think, you know, and you go through the front and it looks like that doesn't look like a football stadium, but I love that. That's a Cinderella story, you know. But I do agree there's got to be a cap, like over there in the States with MLS, you know, they do have a cap on players. I still don't understand how Messi is going to be playing for Inter Miami. You know, Apple's paying for him. Adidas is paying for him. I wish Adidas would pay for me. Buy some more kicks. But, you know, it's just, there's loopholes, just like Chelsea are exploiting it. I mean, everybody sees it, but nobody really says anything. And we do this every single season, you know. If the FA don't stand up and do something about 115 breaches of City and just give them a slap on the wrist and say, you know, that's 1.2 million fine, they laugh. They laugh at that. There's got to be, FA has to grow some balls, UEFA has to grow some balls, but Infantino won't, because he's getting that brown manila envelope full of $100 bills. You know, the rich white man is getting richer and richer and richer. And the poor little lad, you know, 10-year-old Jimmy who wants to go see Liverpool, he can't. It's just getting worse and worse. And I think, you know, the enjoyment of football, I've lost it a little bit. You know, VAR has sucked the life out of football. The problem is we've got morons who have never played the game, who are making decisions. And that's my problem. If VAR was run correctly, I don't think we'd all have a problem with it. But taking 2-3 minutes in a match to you know, you could be sat at the sky high at the stadium and still see it.
You don't even know what's going on.
Offside, and it takes 2-3 minutes. So the player that's just scored a goal can't celebrate. You see them looking all over the pitch, like, should I celebrate? Should I not? And then that goes up to the stands. then everyone's just going, okay, yay, goal, great.
Yeah.
It's losing the entertainment value, I think.
Yeah, massively.
And coming from, I'm a 70s kid. You know, I saw some of the best teams Liverpool have ever produced, and you know, Anfield now, it's like a morgue sometimes. It really is.
I've
It's
done
just-
my podcast, mate. It's
Yeah.
the atmosphere has been massively impacted.
So I think, you know, I think there needs to be a European body all come together and go, look, if we want football to go forward, we need to put a cap, because the agents have ruined it as well. You know, they've got to get 15% here and all these add-ons. It's mental. You know, we're so far removed from football players. We look at them now as gods. You know, and I think we need to just still remember they're human beings. You know. But yeah, I'm like the old man on the lawn telling the kids to get off.
But I think a lot of people are exactly the same like you, mate. I think all the lads on the panel as well. I think everyone that supports not Liverpool, but just even, I know Russ is in the comments, massive Arsenal fan as well. Like those fundamental, small, minute details make quite a lot in football. And as always, we've done podcasts over the last couple of years. It's disgraceful, really. The people running these organisations, the FA, the Premier League, UEFA, FIFA, everyone laughed at all the reporters or the leaks at the time of Platini being corrupt. And it was like, oh, not an of it. But until when all the full investigation happened and he got arrested by the FBI or whoever arrested him and fined him and done him, really. There was massive corruption in football. Just watch a couple of Italian games as well, especially in the 2000s and everything. But it is rife, and I'd hope that the Premier League isn't corrupt in certain elements, but it massively dictates a lot of the topper teams, and a lot more protection is given to a lot of the bigger teams in football, or basically anyone that's got money as well. But it's spot on there, Daz. Joke. Final point, really, mate, as well, and we'll get obviously Vicky's thoughts and obviously Kev's thoughts as well, mate. Yeah, I'd say, do you think they'll get done, really, mate? But I don't think they will. But do you think, as Henry Winter did allude to there, the data from 10,000 odd fans surveyed from 200 clubs, it's soul destroying, really, in all honesty, not just for Liverpool, but for modern football.
Yeah, I think what Henry Winter said is absolutely spot on, and I think it's funny that now we're bringing sort of an independent regulator, and when we should have had this years ago. Should have had it years ago, and I agree with what Daz said. VAR is taking the enjoyment out of football. I mean, there was a decision last night where Georgia were given a penalty against Scotland. And it took 3 to 4 minutes to make a decision. Now, you know, we just don't know what's happening. And then obviously you see on the big screens, like had like VAR penalty check, and me and my friend were just looking at each other like, what? VAR has taken the enjoyment out of football, and unfortunately, I just don't see where we go from here. And I think as well that the fact that you obviously spoke about Platini and obviously Blatter, if anybody hasn't seen it, I honestly would recommend it. FIFA Uncovered, or I think that's what it's called, on Netflix, because you will see what went on, and it is fascinating to see how corrupt Blatter and Platini actually were.
Yeah, definitely. Great documentary. Really recommend it, chat. And you never know. Could be certain journalists. Well, I'd hope there'd be journalists out there that are doing their very journalistic instincts of being undercover, investigating internally. Could be a whistle. All you need is one whistleblower within the City camp and everything. Or a Chelsea or any club of that nature, i.e. PSG or clubs that have got vast amounts of money. Because as we alluded to, top of the show chat, what's going on with Chelsea? It's legally, their lawyers, they'll, as we've seen with City, they'll have 100 lawyers. They'll have the 100 best lawyers in the world, and they'll look to pinpoint the laws and legislations really that they can very much have loopholes. And within that documentation, there will be legal loopholes that these clubs will very much jump through, run through, sprint through. They'll do everything to very much get through. And we're very much seeing that, sadly. But we've...
Hopefully they'll get done for the moral integrity of the game then, just rather than the legal loopholes.
Yeah,
that'd be pretty... Step in and do it.
If you could add on
fumes me
as well.
Fumes, man. It fumes me. That's like it just fumes me, like how they're getting away with this kind of stuff. I completely understand in the legal system about legal loopholes, and I understand blah blah blah, this and that. Somebody didn't do their due diligence, whatever. This is a sport, and it's all about sportsmanship. It's in the title of it. It's what it's about, and fair. It's supposed to be a fair game. It's supposed to be all of this and all of the above. And if you start taking any part of that integrity out of the game, then you might as well not have a game, because all you have really is entertainment for fans. Wrestling is entertainment for fans. It's scripted, it's run, and people sit down and pay hundreds of euros and dollars to watch it, but it's scripted. People put their lives on the line, but it's scripted. Football will end up eventually going down to the line where it's pretty much almost... You might as well just say FIFA, if you're thinking about the
half-time
football game,
shows.
Half-time shows, yeah. You'd want it to go down the line where it's going to be scripted, where somebody's going to be coming into the dressing room saying, I'm going to need something out of Salah, and I'm going to need something out of Haaland, because could you just do a little bit more of this and that? And if you go down that, you're taking away the sport. It's becoming an event. It's becoming entertainment. It's becoming a shock. It's shocking, dude. I mean... Call me, like I'm 41 years of age, call me older and crankier or whatever you want, but I want to see a dude slide into another dude, pick each other up, covered in blood, and then have a pint afterwards. This is what I'm talking about with football. It needs to be there. I get that there's more money involved. I get all of that, but by the way, any of these people that are investing the money, advertising-wise, whatever, should just get the advertising rights. They should have no say in how any club is run. They should have no say in how any league is run. They should have no say in how what game goes to where. I can understand TV rights and stuff that they can put it in certain places, but they take into consideration what the clubs are doing as well. But a lot of them have too much input for my liking. The sport itself is huge. They should just be paying to invest in their advertisement. That's it. Not getting a say.
The biggest one for me, Kev, and we'll go to Vicky in a sec, mate, was over the last couple of months, the back end of last season, was getting Howard Webb. Like, I couldn't care less what Howard Webb says. If he was doing his job and those referees were doing their job, we wouldn't need to hear from the referees. We haven't in the last 130 years, 131 years of the history of Liverpool, modern day football as well. But now, as you alluded to, and as clearly put spot on as well, we're going to be having, we've already got referee analysis shows, and we're over analysing even the nothing challenges that are bang on penalties. You don't need a 20 segment input on Sky Sports News to differentiate really what's a penalty and what's not, but it's for content purposes very much so.
Yeah, and, when you did do that, the Howard Webb thing with showing how VAR works and stuff like that, maybe if they did that in the game, it wouldn't be such a weight, and meant that, at least the fans would be involved. People could see what's going on. It's 100% transparent. You could see what it's great. It's all well and good showing it twice a season and saying, "Oh, this is what happened in this game. That this is what happened in this game." But there's other scenarios in games that probably don't mean as much to the TV rights deals, but like your Crystal Palaces versus your Wolves, or your Luton Towns now versus that, it might mean that, but it has a huge factor in the rest of the season. But it just doesn't matter because it's not for the big weeks. So for me, every single display that's gone into, or every single usage of VAR should be showcased and used. And I think maybe you'll see it being a bit more limited if they have to show it every single time, because it takes up a bit of time, it takes up a bit of money to do it, takes up a bit, and maybe you'll see less of it coming out of the game. Do I think it should be in the game? Yeah, but they should have perfected it before it came into the game. It should be done in less than 15 seconds with the decision on field. There should be a representative of the person who you can use the technology there, not just somebody who can use it sitting in the background. He should be controlling the entire amount of it, and the referee should just point and tell him where to go with it. I don't see that. I see a lot of refs, and then I see a lot of guys relaying it to other places and then back to other places. There should be a guy at every stadium doing it right there and then, not having to relay it back to those other places. If they need to confirm it while they're doing it, the other guys are confirming it in the background in that, wherever that place is. And at least the process would be a lot quicker.
I can just imagine. Sorry, there, Kev. Lads, I could just unchat. I could just imagine a signal getting blocked, like outside the stadium, or like the transmission for the VAR headset, and hence with the goal line technology. Oh, it's broke. Oh, sod it. The other team won't get relegated.
I have to use my eyes to wait. Oh, well.
Like that lino that didn't see. I know the player was kind of blocking it, but even still, like that got a team relegated. Was it Villa would have got relegated? It was a couple of seasons ago, but because it was like
Sheffield United, wasn't it?
Yeah. But
rugby and cricket, lads, works reasonably well in rugby and cricket.
Yeah.
One of our players got elbowed in the head by a linesman. They got off scot-free.
Yeah.
Probably in Manchester.
Rugby's used to having just a couple of minutes to slow things down and have it slow, and it's that kind of paced game. They just need to perfect it. If they go by the guidelines of rugby, take it from there and just speed up the process just slightly, just for the game. That's watching it. For the people that are watching that type of game. So.
Yeah, as Mark said here in the comments, do we like rugby? More or less indicating what you just said there, boys. Explain why you had that refereeing decision. Definitely, mate.
I can see what Brian said there. That's a very modern thing there about sliding into another dude, Brian. I'm a bit too old school to be looking at these new things about one dude sliding into another dude. So I was the whole time my mind was on slide tackling. So, wherever your mind is going with that, dude, I can't help you.
Brian would have been better phrased if you went 50-50.
Yeah,
so it would have been.
Yeah, maybe.
But understood where you're going from that. Ricky, final concluding points, to which has been a very great podcast. Anyone still listening, really do appreciate it. But I've taken too much of your time, boys, so I really do appreciate it. Ricky, final closing point, mate, on what is probably a bigger discussion for bigger people and bigger platforms, but nothing's going to stop us from talking about it, because the more people that talk about it, hopefully it does trickle through to the big cats at the top, really. What's one of the biggest areas for you that really gets on your nerves, to say the least?
What, in terms of
anything the lads that
you just asked Ricky what gets on his nerves.
And without saying FSG, Ricky, there we go.
I think with the VAR thing, they've obviously turned down the World Cup offside technology. They've turned it down, which is the easiest thing you could possibly have, to give an offside instead of drawing silly lines when they can't even do that. So you might as well have the thing where they've gone through the screen and he's offside. But the one thing I'd have in football, I think a manager should get 3 appeals. So if there's a penalty incident and the VAR tell the ref there's nothing in it, I think a manager should be allowed to appeal it and make the on-field referee go over to the monitor and watch it himself back to decide if it's a penalty or not. Because I think it's easy for the VAR guys to go, nah, there's nothing in it. We've looked at it a few times. But that's your opinion. Why not? The referee should automatically get sent over to the monitor when the incident's being looked at, when the ball's gone out of play, and it should be involved in that conversation with the guy looking at VAR, because they're going to have different perspectives if it's a penalty or not. That they haven't all got the same opinion of what they think is a foul or not a foul. But obviously it's Howard Webb, and as Ryan Babel once said, he's a Man United fan, put him in a shirt, got fined for it. But VAR works, it's just the divs you got in charge of it. And I do think the referees need to be mic'd up, and I do think they need to be interviewed after a game with the decisions that could cost other teams in games, and they need to come out and give their reasons why they give them decisions. It's the only way it clears things up. And I don't think you need VAR for everything. Over here, we do it for everything, and that's why it takes so long. you sit in the stadium and you're watching it and you're wondering what's going on. Teams are supposed to be putting the incident on the monitors now, like on the screens around the stadium. But if you ain't got, like Anfield, if you ain't got one of them, you're obviously not seeing what's going on. So, but it needs a bit of work and just needs adjusting here and there. But other than that, it's pointless.
Yeah, the World Cup worked perfectly, boys. I don't know if you've seen a
100%.
lot of it. Like I done quite a lot of watch-alongs on that, and you could see they were very culpable, proper referees really that actually knew what the whole team was all about. And as obviously Panel said there, more or less what Ricky just alluded to as well, to stop over-analysing of the offsides by a toe and a fingernail, it spoils the atmosphere of the visual.
But that's it there. They're supposed to be giving the benefit of that to the attacking team in them small offside decisions. And being offside by your elbow, your shoulder, one of your big toes, I mean, you should be getting the benefit of that.
Ricky, about 2.5 years ago, I did a piece, probably one of the first videos I did on my channel, and I said, why can't you just take a leaf out of the book of the Eredivisie, where they make the lines thicker to suit the attacking players? So if all of that thick line does not pass the other line, they're onside.
But they turned it down. The FA turned it down. I didn't want that.
Yeah. I don't get it either. I just, they were supposed to make the lines thicker about a season or so ago, and they didn't. But if you just made it that the same thickness as the Eredivisie, you would find a lot more attackers given a lot more benefit.
Yeah, definitely, lads. We'll be here for another 2 hours, boys. But as much as I'd love it, I'd love speaking to all you as always, boys. I'll let you go because it's been an absolutely great show. No worries, Doug. Massive thank you for jumping on, mate. And just a closing point as well. Like, that's what makes football. 20 years ago, lads, if we were speaking with our family members, or you go around to your cousins or whatnot, or if you went to game, come back from the pub or whatnot, it's all about those. Yes, it's disappointing if a referee gets a decision, but it creates talking points. It creates elements very much what is fundamentally what we spoke about with football and its principles. The right decisions we all want, but when you're over-analysing every disappointing result, then I think it just what football is, if very much the message football is, it very much fundamentally does get lost. But big up, lads, big up Wigs, big up. Well, I'll be here forever. Big up every single one of you that has been in the comment section below tonight as well, everyone. I really do appreciate it, even if you popped in as well. Massive shout out. I will get the lads finally to shout out all their socials and where you can find them. If you are listening on podcast form, do search, do drop them a follow on all their social links. It is massively appreciated. It's been a great show, so thank you for everyone for listening. But we'll start with obviously Diaz. If you please can, mate, obviously just shout out your socials, please, mate, and where everyone can find you.
Twitter, it'll be at Daz O'Connor, or at ATX Reds Podcast, and then on YouTube, ATX Reds Podcast, Liverpool Connection Podcast. So yeah, I appreciate it, and this is what it's all about, isn't it? Having a good conversation, like so far away from Twitter as possible. You cannot have a good conversation on Twitter. This is what it's about. We're all Liverpool fans. We are, like, Rick said, he doesn't believe FSG are going to bring in anyone. I believe they are. But we're not shouting at each other. We're not swearing at each other. We're not calling each other's names, because that's pathetic. The top Reds, E-Reds. We're none of that. We're Reds, and that's it. That's what counts.
Yeah, big up, mate. Big up, 100%. And as I said, I love Ricky, and as I said, we were all singing from the same hymn sheet. And as Daz has said there, sensible discussions, very much what we do on this channel as well. I have my rants, and I have with FSG, I have my rants on all things, but we all do. But at the end of the day, we will get behind the lads. But if it does come to a point, I'll tell you now, FSG will very much hear it from our whole fan base as well, to spend the money. But Ricky, massive thank you, mate. And obviously, hope you're keeping well as well, mate. Obviously, with the news, we won't say what it was, but we're all thinking about Ricky anyway. And Ricky, please shout out. you are the main contributors to the 1892 Reds TV now. Luke,
Don't tell
if
me
you,
that.
well, Luke, if you're listening or watching on the repeat, get your act together, lads. But please send over everyone where everyone can find you, please, mate.
Yeah, 1892 Reds TV. We are going to be back doing a show potentially early next week. But other than that, yeah, socials run there. Luke loves a tweet and loves an argument on Twitter with people, with other fans base.
I've told him not to get involved.
Yeah,
as Daz alluded to, you don't win.
No, and he just drops sarcastic comments underneath their post, and I don't get it. But I'd love to know what an E-Red is, though. Is that a new one? Because I've never heard that. I think it's,
Is it an electronic red? Is it?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's just. I think I saw the term like 2-3 weeks ago. Some lad said E-Reds, and then I've been seeing it more and more. I just think the top Reds are just being tired of being called top Reds. So they're just like the E-Blurts, the E-Reds. It's just daft, isn't it?
Like E-Girls or something, is it?
Kev, it's not past the watershed. We can't mention.
But what I know is that's those Twitch type girls that just pretend like they're gaming, but they're not actually gaming, isn't it?
Yeah. Kev, I'll be tuning in. You got your top off on your Twitch, lad.
Nice.
I'll tell you that now. And segued perfectly, very swiftly, which is good. Please shout out obviously your socials and where everyone can find you, please.
Spider LFC. I've always wanted to do it to you, but I can't. No, it's Spider LFC on YouTube, Spider LFC on Facebook. You'll also find me with Spider on both of those as well for the gaming side of things, and Irish Spider Guy on Twitch.
Yeah, and if you're just tuning in or anyone tuning in from the beginning, anyone wants to offer Kev any Jaeger bombs in the comments tonight before we go, we massively appreciate it as well. Nigel, I know you don't have socials, mate. But massive thank you for coming on, mate. Obviously, you've got your Twitter. Just shout out your Twitter, please, mate, where everyone can find you.
At Irish Red 11 on Twitter. That's it.
There we go, mate. Massive thank you. And of course, there was Douglas Horn in the comments this evening as well from the Dugout Football channel. Follow him on all YouTube and socials as well. But lads and ladies, I do appreciate everyone. As I said, we love a good, sensible discussion and just speaking and having a good laugh. That's the most important thing, really, as well. But a massive thank you goes to everyone listening this evening or morning, wherever you are watching. And, of course, massive thank you for everyone tuning in. Please, as I said, do head over to all the lads' socials. Show your love and support to all their great socials as well. Massively appreciated. But, gents and everyone, massive thank you. Massive thank you to every single one of you in the comments. Far too many of you to mention. You all know who you are. But, Reds, look after yourselves and rival fans as well. Look after yourselves. And we will see you again tomorrow for another episode. Hopefully, it might be an announcement video. Fingers crossed. We'll see you later. You never walk. Hello.